Hey YouTubers, this is Ishtiaq with you once again. I am a Philadelphia-based event and landscape photographer, and welcome to another episode of my video blog. With me here is Pico. She is the eldest of my three babies. She is my first kitten. Bella is the other one. She's my second baby, and the third one is my little baby Adi, who is, well, they appear in reverse order in these videos. Pico, please, mama. Okay, so I spend a lot of time staying home these days and taking pictures of my little babies, all three of them. And as you can see, the lighting is usually, Papa, please. The lighting is usually like the way it is right now. And those are indoor photos with not too much light, and they need to be fixed. So I do those in Lightroom. I have created some presets of my own. There are many like that out there, but indoor photos in these kinds of lighting situations is one of the most common things. And in this photo, I'm going to take you through in this episode, I'm going to take you through the processing of one of those photos that I have taken of Adi, and you'll see how you can make the most of it. Okay, Pico, letting you go. Alrighty, let's head on to the processing table and naughty kitty. Alright, have a nice.
So we are in Lightroom once again, and this time I have a set of photos, three photos to go through. So that's one, here's two, and here's three. These are all photos of my little son, my newborn, my firstborn. His name is Adi, and these were taken I think when he was about 3.5 months old. And we stay home, we take photos of him a lot, mostly with iPhones, but sometimes with the camera as well. By the camera I mean the DSLR, of course. So we take a lot of pictures like this. They're taken home in our homes, and with the light and everything, they're pretty dark, and they are yellow in many cases, and in this case you'll see that I took the photo at ISO 800, so they are very grainy as well. So not the sharpest best pictures that you would get, but these are your most precious moments. So it's important to know how we can process this. Now when you're working with these photos, the first thing of course is to look at, and of course this is how I do it. You can like it or not, it's completely up to you. So the first thing in this case is to fix the white balance, and what you need to do is just go through all of these. I don't like auto white balance, although it gives you a good result every now and then. This is definitely not a daylight kind of situation, although the default for the camera was daylight at the time. It's not cloudy, and that'll only make it even more yellow, shade even more so. But we can play with tungsten and fluorescent, and let's come to tungsten. And I actually like this white balance, although this takes out the color. The criticism against using tungsten white balance, or another way to do that, I just hit undo, is you can click on the picker and just click a color that's either white or gray or something neutral. So click on that. What it'll do is it'll turn that particular color into the neutral color that it should be, and affect the rest of the photo accordingly. So this is very close to tungsten, so let's just go with tungsten. Tungsten is a little cooler than that. Of course we need to increase the brightness of the photo, increasing the exposure. And what I like to do when I'm taking indoor photos is actually to go very high in the exposure. This makes it look like as if it was taken in bright white light inside the house, and of course that has its other challenges. We'll come to that. It has become a little too glossy because of boosting the exposure, so what we do is we bring down the highlights so that it takes care of some of that. We also want to get a little more detail. Of course, when we're dealing with portraits, this workflow works best when you're dealing with landscapes, but you can't really use it for portraits. If there's people in the photo, you actually should not be going all the way down with the highlights and all the way up with the shadows, but let's just play with that. And next what we do is we press Alt and we look at the white point. well, we can't really go too far. We already have a blown area here, but something to learn is when you're working with portraits is that what matters most is your subject. It doesn't matter how the background is blown or not, so let's not worry too much about that. But still, let's press Alt and see what we have when we try the black point, and we can actually go down quite a bit, because of course this is a very bright photo. This is where we start seeing some dark pixels here. So well, that's something to have here. But here comes the actual trick. When you are working with a portrait, something to make sure is that the eyes are very sharp. So always try to focus on the eyes and make sure that your eyes are in focus. And if, as I have learned and am learning, babies move a lot, and that's why it's difficult to focus exactly where you want or get a very sharp photo. And especially at 1.4, I really need it to be very accurate. But in any case, what you can do is you can always create the perception of sharpness. So to do that, what we need to make sure that whatever else is not in focus is out of focus or a little blurry. And to do that, we reduce the clarity instead of boosting it. So let's just bring it down a little bit. Let's bring down the saturation a little bit as well, so that we don't see too much color, because we want, I personally, as I said in the beginning, this is it depends on taste. I kind of like this, but a lot of people don't. But I have my way of fixing it, which is something I want to show you here as well. Let's boost the vibrance just a little bit. We're not doing anything with the tone curve. We're not doing anything with the hue saturation. Let's look at the details first. Not that I want to make any changes here. Whatever sharpness is there, of course we can click on Alt, press down Alt and keep moving once again to make sure that the sharpening is applied on the edges that you see here. So that again will create some more sense of sharpness. So that really helps, because you want the audience to look at the photo, the person first. So yeah, we can stick to that. Lens correction, it's there by default. Not doing anything else. But split toning is something that I use a lot, and that's what I wanted to show as well. This is one of the few things that I do in particular, and what I'm trying to do here is he looks very pale here, so I want to introduce something else, some bit of difference here. I want there to be something of a, let's see if we can try with a warm color of some kind. So what I want, and I don't want that color to be too saturated, so let's see, let's stay there. I like that little warm tone. So in the beginning we had deep yellow, and I didn't like that deep yellow, but this is a little touch of warmth and I like that. But this is of course applied in the highlights everywhere, and let's see if we can try and neutralize that a little bit by applying some toning in the shadows as well. For that, what we are going to look for is a cool color. So if you're using a warm color, by that I mean a color that's more yellowish for your highlights, try to use the opposite for the shadows and not go too far. And as you see, as I'm moving this, I'm trying to find a color that I like, and I'm trying to find something that kind of works. Maybe reduce the saturation of whatever you find, because when you're looking at a high saturation area, the colors will be very intense and it's not going to look nice. But in this case, I like the kind of pink baby color that you see, so I like that. So I'll keep it to this setting for now, because there's something else that I want to move to, and that's the last thing here, and that's using the adjustment brush. So what we're going to do is, and I actually have this saved as a preset for when I use it on the photos, but what I do is I have the exposure boosted just a little bit and I have the clarity boosted just a little bit. So let's double click on effect, so that we start with something completely different, completely new, and then what we want to do is we want to boost the exposure just a little bit, because we want the main area to be bright. We want our eyes will definitely come to the brightest area, and we have a lot of bright area in the background, so I want there to be some distinction, or at least bring that up a little bit. And also, as I mentioned just a little while ago, we took down the clarity for rest of the photo, so I really want to boost the clarity here so that we have some perception of sharpness. And then what I'm going to do is I can even have the overlay on. So what I will do is I'll paint over him so that wherever he is, there is a sense of sharpness, and that's it. We can do that. We can click done, and that's the photo we have. So I'm clicking on backslash to see the before. So give it a second. So that was the before, and this is the after. Instantly there's a pop, and this is something very simple. This is something I use a lot, and to the point that I have actually saved this as a preset. So you can come here and not through here, so oops, my bad. So you can come here, and in presets you have your user presets. You can click on the plus here, and you can give it a name. You can decide which settings you want to be included here. We want included here, and then just click create. It'll be saved. And the preset, that name that I gave here, is indoor portrait yellow light. That's just the name I gave it. And the way it works is any photo you import, you click on that, and in one click it gets applied here. Of course, you'll notice that it's a little soft because the brush isn't here, but we can apply the brush and it'll be everywhere. So let's just take the brush, apply it, apply some exposure. Oh, actually, my bad, the brush was here, so I didn't need to create this extra brush. Let me just delete that. This was the brush that I had. So there you go. Yeah, I originally only painted over the face, not the rest of it. That's actually good. That way the eyes go directly here. And as you saw in the beginning, this was not a particularly bright photo or sharp photo, but we created that perception which really makes him pop. So what we can do is we can now either select all of the photos and click sync, or we can just click on the preset, but let's just click on sync. Other than spot removal, which I have turned off by default, let's synchronize, and we'll see the changes in these photos. So you see the before and after here. And when you're applying something like this, there are two things that you need to be careful of, and which is why I have 3 photos instead of one. One of the first things is you click on the brush and you need to check. Okay, so here's the brush. Let's select that. Let's look at the overlay. This is all over the place. We don't want the brush to be there. So what we do is we press Alt. This turns into the delete mode, the negative mode, and just delete it from the background and from here where it shouldn't be. And now, oops, we need to delete a little more. So we delete, and now we paint over only the area where it should be. So let's have the sharpness on only where we want this suckling little monster to be sharp. So that's the first thing to do. And the second thing is, let's close this brush. The second thing is you need to come and take a look at your settings to check the exposure, because we boosted the exposure a lot in the previous photo, in the first one that we worked on, and of course the lighting condition changes, so you might want to bring it down just a little bit so that it doesn't have that completely washed out look. And of course, let's go to the last one. Once again, let's click on the brush, click on this here, all over the place. I'll just simply delete that, or I could have reset that, but what I'm going to do is, once the lag is over, of course, yeah, there you go. What I'm going to do is just paint over his curious little face and eyes, and that's it. Maybe just a little bit there. So that's that. And like the other photo. Look at the exposure here. Just play around with the slider, go right and left if you want, maybe a little bit to the right, and also if you want you can play with you can try and straighten it just a little bit, or any other changes you may want to make. So it's very basic from that point onward, but you get the point. Even in the case of this photo, let me show you the before and after. So that's the before, and here's the after. So instantly you have a lot of pop, and anytime you look at this photo, or the ones before and after, your eyes will directly go to his eyes, in which you have a perception of sharpness, and you get a chance to observe and to communicate and to connect with the subject that you see. So that's something that I wanted to show you in this episode, how to take photos in indoor lighting conditions and then come to Lightroom and fix that to get a look that works. And this can be done with any photo. It can be done with a as you have seen in this set of pictures, these are really not very sharp photos. These are grainy, and the grain you don't even notice. And whatever you have, whatever photos you have, it can be an iPhone photo even, you can just bring it in and make these changes and come up with this distinct look. Save that as a preset and use it elsewhere. I hope you like this episode. I hope you found it useful. I hope you are enjoying the channel and the videos that I'm putting out. Let me know if you have any feedback. I really look forward to listening from you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time. Thank you so much.